Welcome to Assessment and Evaluation course, and this will be presented by Michelle Aureli Esther Dania, Mild Physical Science, Angelica Arroyo, Mild General Science, and Rosemary Castellano, Mild Physical Science. The objectives will include the following. First, to distinguish between assessment and evaluation and the roles they hold in teaching and learning. Second, to describe and distinguish between forms of assessment, alternative, authentic, performance, and traditional. And third, to demonstrate the alignment of instructional objectives with assessment. The first objective, to distinguish between assessment and evaluation and the roles they hold in teaching and learning, will be discussed by yours truly. Assessment and evaluation are two terms which are commonly used interchangeably. The word assessment could be synonymous to the following words: goal, progress, measure, analysis, plan, research, and result, whereas the term evaluation may include criteria, analysis, performance, approach, improvement, results, feedback, and assessment. Let's find out what is assessment and what is evaluation in education. Assessment is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data to measure knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs, whereas evaluation focuses on grades and might reflect classroom components other than course content and mastery level. An evaluation can be used as a final review to gauge the quality of instruction. The illustration projected explains the purpose of assessment and evaluation. In the first picture, if you will give the flower some water to improve its growth, it shows assessment, which has the purpose to increase quality. While in the second picture, if you will say the flower is purple and is too short with not enough leaves, that is evaluation, which has the purpose to judge quality. Assessment provides useful feedback for the improvement of teaching and learning. Assessment is feedback from the student to the instructor about the student's learning. Thus, the purpose of classroom assessment is to improve student learning, while evaluation uses methods and measures to judge student learning and understanding of the material for purposes of grading and reporting. Evaluation is feedback from the instructor to the student about students' learning. Thus, the purpose of evaluation is to grade or appraise or judge student or faculty or staff. Assessment, on the other hand, is more focused on measuring a performance, work, product, or skill in order to offer feedback to document strength and growth and to provide directives for improving future performance. Thus, assessments are non-judgmental and are designed and intended to be helpful to produce improvement, whereas evaluations are designed for and intended to document the level of achievement that has been attained. Evaluation is more focused on making a judgment or determination concerning the quality of a performance, work product, or use of skills against set of standards. Assessment is to check and coach to excellence, while evaluation is to check and grade on time. This Venn diagram shows the relationship between assessment and evaluation. Assessment is ongoing, while evaluation provides closure. Assessment improves learning quality, while evaluation judges learning level. Assessment is individualized, while evaluation applied against standard. Assessment is upgraded, while evaluation is graded. Assessment provides feedback, while evaluation shows shortfalls. Assessment is process-oriented, while evaluation is product-oriented. Despite of their differences, they are both similar in terms of the following. They require criteria, use measures, and evidence-driven. And now let's talk about the role of assessment in teaching and learning. Assessment must be planned with its purpose in mind. Assessment for, as, and of learning all have a role to play in supporting and improving student learning and must appropriately balanced. The most important part of assessment is the interpretation and use of the information that is gleaned for its independent purpose. Next, assessment is a systematic process of collecting and interpreting information to make decisions about students. High-quality assessments not only provide valid and reliable information about student achievement, they also assist educators to determine the effectiveness of their instructional strategies. When assessment works best, it does the following. First, provides diagnostic feedback. The teacher may ask the following questions. What is the student's knowledge base? What is the student's performance base? What are the student's needs? And what has to be taught? Second, it helps educators set standards. What performance demonstrates understanding? What performance demonstrates knowledge? And what performance demonstrates mastery? Third, it motivates performance. For student self-evaluation, they can ask themselves, now that I'm in charge of my learning, how am I doing? Now that I know how I'm doing, how can I do better? What else would I like to learn? Fourth, to evaluate progress. This includes how is the student doing, what teaching methods or approaches are most effective, and what changes or modifications to a lesson are needed to help the student. And the last one, to relate a student's progress. You may ask these questions. What has the student learned? Can the student talk about the new knowledge? Can the student demonstrate and use the new skills in other projects? Now let's talk about the role of evaluation in teaching and learning. It helps teachers and learners to improve teaching and learning. Evaluation is a continuous process and a periodic process. It helps in forming the values of judgment, educational status, or achievement of student. Evaluation in one form or the other is inevitable in teaching and learning. As in all fields of activity of education, judgments need to be made. Another role of evaluation in learning. It contributes to formulation of objectives, designing of learning experiences, and assessment of learner performance. Besides this, it is very useful to bring improvement in teaching and curriculum. It provides accountability to the society, parents, and to the education system. In terms of teaching, evaluation is concerned with assessing the effectiveness of teaching, teaching strategies, methods, and techniques. It provides feedback to the teachers about their teaching and the learners about their learning. In terms of curriculum, the improvement in courses or curricula, text, and teaching materials is brought about with the help of evaluation. And for society, evaluation provides accountability to society in terms of the demands and requirements of the employment market. It fulfills various purposes in systems of education like quality control in education, selection or entrance to a higher grade or tertiary level. It also helps one to take decisions about success in specific future activities and provides guidance to further studies and occupation. Now, let's have these distinguishing points between assessment and evaluation. In terms of the meaning, assessment is the process of collecting, reviewing, and using data for the purpose of improvement of the current performance, while evaluation is described as an act of passing judgment on the basis of set standards. Assessment in nature is diagnostic, while evaluation is judgmental. Assessment provides feedback on performance in areas of improvement. Evaluation determines the extent to which objectives are achieved. The purpose of assessment is formative while the purpose of evaluation is summative. Assessment orientation is process-oriented while evaluation is product-oriented. In terms of the feedback, assessment is based on observation and positive and negative points, while evaluation is based on the level of quality as per set standard. Assessment is reflective and evaluation is prescriptive in terms of the relationship between parties. In terms of the criteria, assessment is set by both the parties jointly and evaluation is set by the evaluator. And in terms of the measurement standards, assessment is absolute and evaluation is comparative. As educators, let us be reminded that the most important purpose of assessment and evaluation is to improve student learning. Assessment and evaluations are important tools for designing curriculum and instructional approaches as per need of students. It also plays an important role in understanding overall effectiveness of programs and revising classroom practices. Let us all reflect on this statement. For teachers, as for students, the most effective evaluation comes from someone who sits beside us and helps us grow.
Forms of assessment to be reported by yours truly. What is alternative assessment? Alternative assessment is a learning assessment method that focuses on the individual needs and growth of each student. It is also known as formative assessment and portfolio assessment. It focuses on a student's strengths, what they can do, allowing the teacher to choose an appropriate assessment for students with different learning styles, maturity levels, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, and other characteristics that could affect language performance. While one student may choose to write a response, another student may perform better in a role-play situation. Then we have the characteristics of an alternative assessment. First, it is teacher-generated. It takes into account the individual background and needs of every unique learner. It considers the big picture of individual student progress over an extended period of time. It is flexible, responsive, and continually developing according to curricular activities. It also takes into consideration different learning styles and preferences. It allows language learners to demonstrate content knowledge and skills mastery without language barrier difficulties. It is also highly effective for use with students who are entitled to accommodations and modifications. Normally documented with qualitative data such as performance descriptors, comparisons with previous works, and skills demonstration. We also have some examples of an alternative assessment. First, we have portfolio, where a student has selected or developed the work they think best depicts their study skills and understanding of concepts. Then we have observation. You have the opportunity to monitor the process or situation. Essays. Essays can give freedom from rote answers and you can even get more creative than the 5-paragraph essay. Then, performance tasks. Performance-based assessments typically consist of tasks designed to have students actively solve problems and apply knowledge. Then we have exhibitions and demonstrations. We have other examples of alternative assessment. We have journals, which is used to document students' evolving learning process and understand of course material. Teacher-created tests. These are custom-created assessments that fit your course and learning goals. Self and peer evaluation. It allows the students to provide feedback on their own work or that of their peers. Next, we have authentic assessment. The term authentic assessment is often referred to in any discussion of assessment and can be thought of as an examination of student performance and understanding on significant tasks that have relevancy to the student's life inside and outside of the classroom. It combines the traditional academic content with the knowledge and skills needed to function appropriately in the real world. The context, purpose, audience, and focus should connect to real-world situations and problems. This method of assessment has the following main characteristic which sets it apart from the traditional assessment. It requires students to develop responses rather than select from predetermined options, elicits higher order thinking in addition to basic skills, directly evaluates holistically projects, and synthesizes with classroom instruction. Uses samples of student work collected over an extended time period, stems from clear criteria made known to students, allows for the possibility of multiple human judgments, it relates more closely to classroom being, and teaches students to evaluate their own work. And we have performance assessment. This assessment measures how well students apply their knowledge, skills, abilities to authentic assessment or to authentic problems. The key feature is that it requires the student to produce something such as report, experiment, or performance which is scored against specific criteria. Learners must use more complex, higher-order thinking skills. They must reason, problem-solve, or collaborate with others to produce individual responses. Rubrics provided ahead of time so learners know their expectations and are used to evaluate students on multiple competency levels. Then we have the following characteristics that should be remembered when designing a performance task. It has various outcomes. It does not require one right answer. It is integrative, combining different skills. It encourages problem solving and critical thinking skills. It encourages divergent thinking, and it focuses on both product and process. Then we have some examples of performance tests. We have here oral presentation, dance or movement, science lab demonstration, athletic competition, dramatic reading, enactment, debate, a musical recital, tableau, and some more. Then we have here the traditional assessment. Traditional assessments are tests taken with paper and pencil that are usually true or false, matching or multiple choice. These assessments are easy to grade but only test isolated application, facts or memorized data at lower level thinking skills. Traditional assessment provides little evidence of what a language learner actually can do with the language.
Good morning. This is Rosemary F. Castellano, Physical Science, your presenter for today. My topic is all about question number 3, and that is to demonstrate the alignment of instructional objectives with assessment. Assessment should reveal how well students have learned what we want them to learn, while instruction ensures that they learn it. For this to occur, assessments, learning objectives, and instructional strategies need to be closely aligned so that they reinforce one another. To ensure that these three components of your course are aligned, ask yourself the following question. For learning objectives, what do I want students to know, how to do when they leave this course? For assessment, what kinds of tasks will reveal whether students have achieved the learning objectives I have identified? For instructional strategies, what kinds of activities in and out of class will reinforce my learning objectives and prepare students for assessment? So what do well-aligned assessment look like? So this table represents examples of the kind of activities that can be used to assess different types of learning objectives. This is adopted from the revised Bloom taxonomy. So we have two columns. On the first column are the type of learning objective, and on the second column are the examples of appropriate assessment. For the type of learning objectives, for us teachers, this is what we call as the behavioral skills that our student should achieve. So first, we have recall, recognize, and identify. So the examples of appropriate assessment for these learning objectives are objective test items such as fill in the blank, matching, labeling, or multiple choice question that required students to recall or recognize terms, facts, and concepts. Another type of learning objective are interpret, exemplify, classify, summarize, infer, compare, and explain. So the appropriate assessments are activities such as paper, exams, problem sets, class discussion, or concept maps that require student can summarize reading, films, or speeches, can compare and contrast two or more tourist events or processes, can classify or categorize cases, elements, or events using established criteria, can paraphrase documents or speeches, can find or identify examples or illustration of a concept or principle. Another type of learning objectives are apply, execute, and implement. So the appropriate assessments are activities such as problem sets, performances, labs, prototyping, or simulation that require students to use procedures to solve or complete familiar or unfamiliar tasks. Determine which procedures are most appropriate for a given task. Another type of learning objectives are analyze, differentiate, organize, and attribute. Examples of appropriate assessment: activities such as case studies, critics, lab, paper, projects, debates, or concept map that require students to discriminate or select relevant and irrelevant parts, can determine how elements function together, can determine bias, values, or underlying intent in presented material. Another type of learning objective: evaluate, check, critique, and assess. Appropriate assessment: activities such as journals, diaries, critiques, problem set, product reviews, or studies that required students to test, monitor, judge, or critique readings, performances, or product against established criteria or standard. Another type of objective, we have create, generate, plan, produce, and design. Examples of appropriate assessments: activities such as research projects, musical composition, performances, essay, business plans, website design, or set design that required students to make, build, design, or generate something new. So these are the example how to align instructional objectives with assessment. I will leave you with a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn."
Two heads are better than one. This group output allows us to share our ideas while understanding how each of us think, work, and operate. And I quote, "None of us, including me, ever do great things, but we can all do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful." As a product of our collaboration, we would like to present a summary of our reflection from this group task. This is divided into 3 parts. The first part of our reflection includes its content knowledge. What new content did you learn while working on this project? This course have taught us to look into deeper understanding of assessment and evaluation. The comparison in the similarities and differences of these two terms give us clarifications and full grasp of the content. Understanding assessment and evaluation and utilizing its different forms will enable us to achieve its most important purpose, that is to improve students' learning. This could be possible if curriculum and teaching are congruent. Did you know more or less than you expected? This quote answers the question. Never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. Learning is an unending process. As educators, we teach what we have learned. In this course and with Doc Maria Dolindo Ramal, we have gained more than what we have expected. From the PowerPoint presentations and experiences shared, that was all worth it. For the last question of this part, what surprised you? Knowing the fact that assessment and evaluation play a significant role in teaching and learning, we actually expected that this whole course could be some quite difficult and complicated. But as we had our online classes, things getting easier and lighter. Misconceptions and confusions of some terms were clarified. There were information gained and skills being enhanced with our group tasks.
For collaboration and teamwork. The first question says, how did your work and actions contribute to your team's success? Our work and actions contributed greatly to the team's success. It opened way to help us use the opportunity to learn from each other. We were able to learn to communicate well and clearly with each other that lead us to decision making in a very quick time. What was the hardest part about working in a team? The hardest part of working in a team is being distant from each other due to this pandemic. We need to rely on the power of internet and social media to communicate and come up with a good presentation. Even though distance became our barrier to work well, the team was fueled with determination to finish the task. What was the best part? The best part of being in a team was we were able to enjoy this activity, having a great time getting to know each other well, share ideas and thoughts, and learn through it. That is why the saying, many brains are better than one, the task was created well.
For technology and communication, there are two questions being asked. First, what new skills did you learn? So in our group, we answer 3 skills that we have learned. First, one is effective remote communication. Not surprisingly, the video calls, meetings, and chat that we participated in during the 2 weeks' time will have developed our skills in communicating effectively while operating remotely. Not only in managing the technicalities of technology, but also how we build rapport virtually, including our ability to practice active listening. Second, we have the so-called tech savviness. The new technology, tools, and processes put in place force us to speed up with technologies and programs. And number 3, time management, discipline, and accountability. We are expected to be more responsible, self-disciplined, and accountable. Self-management skills will take in greater importance. Such skills are active listening, stress tolerance, motivation, time management, and flexibility. For the second question, what else do you want to learn how to do? Our answer are 1. Continuous learning. The importance of upskilling and adopting a continuous learning approach to develop new skills has long been listed as a key skill. We are operating in a fast-changing environment, and skill sets quickly need to evolve to remain competitive. And number 2, we have the so-called digital skills. So digital skills, creativity, and analytical skills to apply the right ICT skills to an activity. So these are our answers for the part of the questions for students.